You all know me, but I'm Katie Shibler-Khan. I am the crazy, chaotic founder of KSA Marketing. And this is KSA Live. We like to call it our Oh Shit Q&A. And this is really all about helping other business owners turn those oh shit moments into hell yeah victories. So I don't know, I'm just making sure. I don't know. Christina, you may need to start admitting. Okay, I'll let Christina go from there. So make sure. So before we get started, if you guys don't know Christina and Ron, they're part of my team. They've been here for a while. But Sean, why don't you introduce yourself and Mark and Marcia about your businesses? Oh, Sean, you're on mute.
Hi, Sean McQuaid. I am the founder of Back Pocket Resources, which is a staffing and recruiting collaborative, helping companies nationally with staffing needs. Specifically, the last 4 years have been in clinical research and healthcare. And I'm also co-founder of eClose AI, which is an AI consulting company focused on small and mid-sized businesses and helping them with AI adoption and transformation.
You're one of those serial
Wow.
founders.
Yes.
Hmm. And you and Mark have that in common too.
I can't help myself.
Right. Yeah, there's too many things out there. Would you like for me to go
Yeah,
next?
go right
Okay,
ahead.
perfect. Okay, so I'm Mark Jamnick. I'm with, well, two companies as well, one of which is Subliminal Art Experiences. And what we do is we actually do art experiences for companies for team building experiences, client appreciations, employee appreciations. So actually, I have a canvas behind me that's going to be picked up a little later on today. We're doing an event tonight where all of their volunteers for this Furnish Hope is going to be contributing to the canvas. Then I'm going to take it and paint over it. So that's one of the art experiences that we do.
That's
The other
cool.
thing is I'm co-founder of a company called Kindred, and we work with a lot of creative ad agencies and professional services firms around driving business development processes to create more intentional business relationships. So those are the two things, yes. And I've got the serial entrepreneur side of me as well. Thanks for having me. Exciting. This is number two. So excited to see where we're gonna go here.
Yeah. And Marcia, you want to introduce yourself to Sean and Mark?
Absolutely. I am not a serial entrepreneur, so I feel a little left out. I have my own business. It's called Mariposa Teams. I work as an fractional EOS integrator and also as an integrator coach, an executive coach. I have a background in executive coaching. And for if you don't work in EOS, basically think of me as a fractional COO.
Yes. And Marsha's awesome. I can attest to that. She knows my team very well.
I
Um,
do indeed.
Exactly. And actually, it's lovely that the three of you are on here because you guys all sort of are in similar spheres. And it could be a really dynamic conversation. So we started doing this a couple months ago. We have over the past year, 18 months, Christina, Ron, and I. What was the I'll look at it? Of course, Ron. Or of course, sorry, Sean's got the book and everything. We love it all. Uh, See, I'm gonna have to. I will make an introduction to Sean and Mark and Marcia after this because the three of you can probably all support each other in different ways. So it's a nice group for today. But Christina, Ron, and I started last year on really looking at what those recurring conversations are that we have from prospective clients and then organizations that are in our sphere. And marketing's complex. And as marketers, we make it extra complex. And it feels often like the Wizard of Oz. So what's the magician behind the curtain, and what are all those bells and whistles that they pull on all sorts of different ways? So we started breaking it down into this process that we call who, what, where. And when we know who we're targeting and we have clarity on who it is, when we know what we want them to do, and we know where we want to reach them, that's how you start getting repeatable results. So that's a big part of what we started doing here today. So before we dive in, I just wanted to do a check-in with you guys. if you're doing marketing on your for your own business, what is one marketing channel that you're using currently that you're not sure if it's working or have no idea how to know if it's working? Anyone got one? Sean, you do a lot of TikTok videos, right?
I do. Yeah. And I have no idea if there's any real value there. We will see. I have the EI company has about 400 followers over the last month, or gained 400 followers over the last month. People are engaging through chat. We have had some signups for like the discussion group that I'm launching, things like that. So it's getting to somebody.
Mhm.
I'm really on TikTok and LinkedIn, and then I push a lot of that out to Instagram and Facebook and other stuff, but I don't make content specific to those platforms yet.
Mhm.
And neither of them is really growing because I don't make content for them specifically. The regurgitated stuff I think is something as a placeholder, but it's not something that's going to grow. Each platform has its own thing, I think. I have a bunch of things. I've told you the New England Resistance channel has 5,500 followers in the last couple months. And then Back Pocket, none. Like it's just not, that's not relating. So whatever I'm doing there is not working in the same way.
Mhm.
What made
That's
you
valid. A lot of people
choose?
have that.
What made you
Bruce?
choose TikTok as your initial platform to jump from?
Because it's easier for me, one, and two, I think that that's where a lot of attention is right now. I'm too old for Snapchat, but if I wasn't, I would be there too. But I think Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, I think YouTube is also still a place you can make, but I think Instagram and Facebook are a little bit on the downslope, which does not mean there's not lots of value there, but I think if I'm going to pick one platform, I'm just going in with where the attention is now.
And Sean, one other thing I
Manager.
want to just echo and is smart, and we'll get into this, is you're doing TikTok because it's easier for you and it comes natural for you. And when it comes to businesses and entrepreneurs, that is actually a first filter that you need to do. And we're going to go through that because there's nothing worse than putting all this time and effort into something that you don't support or that doesn't align with what your brand and what is authentic to your organization. Mark, Marcia, anything else you want to share?
I would personally say I'm doing YouTube on a regular basis. I mean, well, regular meaning consistent. I'm not posting a bunch of shorts, but what I'm using it for is I send out a monthly newsletter to my client list and just people that I've met. This is specifically for my art, and I also do this video that kind of like, here's my update, or here's something that I wanted to share with you. And I see it as the longevity. I have as many as 230 views on one of the videos, which is, nothing small. Like they were like, hey, if you're ever to go into a stadium and you have 230 people there, like that's a fair amount. But in the grand scheme of things, that's on the high end. And I think this last video, I think I have got 10 this month that people have viewed. So this is to kind of give you an idea. That said, the content that I'm sharing, I see the longevity of being able to share it on a regular basis through emails and some other things. So I see it from that perspective, much more of a strategic position than I am
Mhm.
like looking at it from, oh, I have so many views on this. It's more of a marketing platform for me to be able to do that. So but I'm using it very consistently, and I have been doing that. And I invest in an editor each month to really kind of put together some really nice videos. I mean, they're simple videos, but they're like 2 minutes, but they're
Right.
really, really nice.
Good.
If I can pat myself a little bit on the back here, is saying that as humbly as I can. So it's not just like I'm just shooting a camera but it's like there's editing that's also involved. So
I
it
think you do a really good job of being intentional with your content, which
thank you.
is, similar to Sean.
Yeah.
That's half the battle. there,
Yeah,
especially when
thank you.
it's you guys are you have businesses, but you guys carry the primary. It's not like you have massive teams behind you. So that is a big piece of the pie there. Um, and Marcia, if you have anything to share, feel free to chime in. If you have nothing and you're like, all that marketing thing sucks.
It doesn't suck. I'm a writer, not
Uh-huh.
a video person. So for a while, I was really consistent with posting stuff to LinkedIn. That's where I was working, but I have fallen off that wagon. Dealing with the single, solopreneur, I'm wearing all the hats. So I spent more of my time on networking sales and less on the marketing. So I've been a bit remiss.
As we all have been. So I'm going to dive in. I'm going to share some slides here, and thank you guys for sharing. Let's see if Katie can get the next part of technology working. So as we're talking about the where of, can you see this? Yeah, working. Everyone on board? I saw this ad about last week from the American Bar Association. So we talk about who, what, where for KSA. So for us, that's this. These are the three things that need to be dialed in whenever you're looking at a marketing activity. Who are we talking to? What do we want them to do? Where is that message going? So I saw this lovely ad from the American Bar Association, which hit me on LinkedIn. As context, LinkedIn on average is about a CPM, a cost per impression of $30 to $45 per it's a really high CPM. So I am not a lawyer, number one, but I know based on some research and some pixels I would have been firing. This is why this has hit me on my LinkedIn, so I don't remiss them on that. But I look at this ad and I say, I have no idea what we're saying. I have no idea who they're talking to. No idea what they want me to do. Um, Yay, they got the where channel right. And to me, this is the biggest challenge when people are looking at marketing, is they think they get maybe that where right, or they get the who right, and they forget the what. So what we're really trying to focus everyone on is when you're going to do a marketing activity, a marketing channel in particular, who are we speaking to? What do we want them to do? So in this case, learn more about an orderly, fair, and legal process. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't tell me much. So they are probably spending upwards of, I would imagine, to be on LinkedIn, $700 to $1,000 a month on these ads, and who knows what it's going to tell them on the metrics. So that is something that I just see a lot of waste. This is how marketing causes a lot of noise, and then people sit there and they say, "Oh, but I paid off for these ads, and they didn't have any relevance for my business." So when we look at the process at our model, who, what, where. Who, audience clarity, who are we speaking to? What do we want them to do? And where, and we have to have a plan to be where. And that plan to be where is not only what is the channel, but how are we measuring that channel? And then how easy is it for us to activate? When we get those three things dialed in, that's when you see results that are repeatable and scalable. Does that make sense? Questions? Do you guys agree with that American Bar Association ad? That is to me a great example of getting your where and your what wrong when you maybe have your where right, but you don't have the what. Christina, were you gonna say something? No?
No, I was just going to say it's a good photo. Like the content is cool looking, but to your point, it doesn't tell the who what to do.
Yeah.
It's a attention grabber, like, oh, interesting. And they definitely got to you. But it's the what is missing.
And that's where, when you're thinking about this who, what, where process, you need to think. So, Sean, with your TikTok videos, or Mark with your YouTube content, when you've got that end of that content, what is the next step? Do you want them to tune in to the next video? Do you want them to click over to your website? Do you want them to get to subscribe to a newsletter? Getting that dialed in, you have to think of it like a journey. You need to have multiple channels, because no one makes an action off of a single message. And sometimes we need to have multiple call to actions. So if we've got a cold audience that we're trying to get in front of, in those cases, it might just be sharing some information, learn more, visit, follow our newsletter, check our website out, and then you move them through the funnel a little bit tighter. But since we're here to talk about today, where is all about aligning those audiences and assets to the channel. So there is, in this day and age, thousands of marketing channels, which is entirely overwhelming. The channels that I have right here are the ones that typically are the most accessible for smaller and medium-sized businesses. And they are the ones that are easiest to give us the metrics on the back end, because metrics are a big part of marketing. If we don't know how to track the effectiveness, whether that be open rates or engagement or impressions, stuff along those lines, then we're just doing marketing. We're throwing paint up on a wall, which I know Mark is an expert at. But we don't want to be doing those splatters when it comes to our marketing activities. The one area, some people can invest in a really well singing and well operating website, which is great, and that gives you lots of data. Some people can't. In that case, then email might be your easiest low-hanging fruit of having the equivalent of those website metrics, where you can really understand your audiences and what's measuring to them. We see right now in marketing that most people might need at least three different activities that they're three different channels that they're driving marketing through. If you don't have three, then you're never gonna achieve the results. And I highly encourage someone, especially if you're looking to attract new buyers, new customers, new clients, to have one of those channels be a paid channel when you're ready for it. The paid is going to give you the results quicker and faster. Organic is a slow burn. It's cheap because you can do it yourself, but it could take a year before you have any clarity on whether or not that channel is working. So depending on where you are in the life cycle of your business, you're going to want to consider introducing paid in there. Before I go on, any questions on specific channels? No?
No, I have a question more on the paid side, but we can
go right ahead.
So, I mean, yeah, I've heard this before, right? The pay to play, right?
Yeah.
Because I think about a lot of the videos that I have created over the years. I mean, I did a video a day for like almost a year and a half. So there's like 400 videos, and at most, I think I had 6 to 8 views on that. And
Yeah.
it's like, they talk about the consistency. I'm like, I couldn't be more consistent. That said,
Right.
I didn't pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
So are there some maybe strategies in terms of, and again, I don't know how deep you want to go on this, but
Yeah.
like when I'm thinking about YouTube, what might I want to do? Like, is it a paid, like, am I paying to boost it, or I don't, that's where I
Boosting in
don't.
general, in my
Yeah.
experience, is not going to get
Okay.
targeted. I would, on YouTube, I would probably look at a different channel. You've got the content on YouTube.
Yep.
I would look at something like LinkedIn, where you're paying to grow a
Yep.
following on audience, and you're feeding those followers into your YouTube channel and
Gotcha.
growing it from another channel, because that's going to do two things for you. One, it's going to get you the right targeting, get you more followers on LinkedIn, and two, it's going to drive more eyeballs to the YouTube channel. And when you drive eyeballs eyeballs to the YouTube channel, then that's going to grow that channel on its own. If you're just staying in that, and that's why I always say 3 different channels,
Mhm.
3 different activations, because then they start working in concert with each other.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Christina,
I
you're
love
on mute. Were you saying something?
I was saying this exactly. They start to like intertwine, work together. Your LinkedIn's gonna populate and get people over to your YouTube, and it starts to create that little symphony that she was talking.
And that's why I always like to use this dial as a visual there, because you're just really dialing it in. The more you get those 3 channels working in concert with each other, the higher the volume. And it's just figuring out where the targeting, where the targeting is on the audience. The other thing I would say is that a lot of people make the mistake of paying for a paid campaign or a paid channel for about, 10 minutes being I'm joking there. But you really want to do any sort of paid activity for at least 6 weeks. About 4 weeks is when any paid campaign can start producing some repeatable results. So you start seeing maturity at 4 weeks. Depending on the category and depending on the service and depending on the channel, it might be a little bit longer. But anything less than 4 weeks is never going to be effective. Make sense? Good.
Can you talk a little bit about the spend, Katie? Like if you're talking, do you need a partner, or are you suggesting that I could just do something with the content I'm already creating? Do I have to make different content? I guess for me, I have a few things. The 3 channels I love, and I agree with you totally.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's funny because I actually consume more on LinkedIn and TikTok, but Instagram converts me more often.
Right.
I click on more things to sign up for something through Instagram for whatever reason. But, as a
Yes.
consumer, I'm on the other 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like the spend, as Mark said, right? You're making these YouTube videos, you're putting time into those places. Do you just spend money to not boost the post? Are you spending money on the creation? I'm stumbling over my thought here. But are you spending money on the creation, or are you just spending money on the placement?
You're spending, it depends on there's a million ways to look at it. And I will tell you, a million different marketers are going to give you a million different answers. And what I'm going to encourage you is it's about your comfort. If you are comfortable, the good news about this world of AI and a post-COVID marketing land is people accept imperfect content. They see it as authentic and organic. So it doesn't need to be the most polished, perfect content to actually land. So there is opportunity, frankly, to just self-produce content and then put the money behind the paid. It just comes down to how are you measuring it and understanding what works. And the second piece of it is it comes down to the maturity of your business. How many new clients are you looking to land? We just ran a campaign for a nonprofit. They needed hundreds of leads. So to get to hundreds of leads, they need good content. They need a paid partner who can really make sure that that spend is dialed in and that it's going to deliver the results. If someone's looking for 10 leads, by all means, experiment, do it yourself. It comes down to a volume, and it's a good setup because voila, here is my recommended tool for you guys as you start looking at those channels. So the biggest things that I see, like I used with that American Bar Association example, is that wasted effort, that wasted spend. The cheapest terms to bid on in LinkedIn or Google are going to be what we call broad matches. So it's like anyone who has searched raw. That may or may not be the right audience for you. If you just want a broad match, can give you a lot of data really quickly if you have no idea um, how to target your audience. If you want to target a lot of people and see who responds, then a broad match is a good strategy. If you're pretty clear on who your audience is, then you want to get more niche and more targeted on the keywords. If you're putting spend behind it. So as what I would encourage you to do, Sean and Mark in particular, is list out those channels that you're currently activating, and then list out the channels that you're curious about, the channels that maybe you're not as comfortable with, but where you think the audience and the target audience that you're talking to might be living. And even further is think about where there's an opportunity to differentiate. Because, if it's, I mean, you guys have unique businesses, but I'll use KSA as an example. There's a million advertising agencies. We have to figure out where our clients hang out and how they connect with us. And probably any channel we go to, there's a million other competitors in that space. So we curse a lot. People remember us for the fact that we're, oh shit to hell yeah, and that crazy chaotic Katie founder. So those are the things that we use to differentiate ourselves. But look at the channel, list out the channel. It's important to think about organic versus paid. So especially when you're looking at social media, because there's two sides to that platform. It's like a front end and a back end. So how you handle your organic content is going to be different than how you handle your paid content. What is the objective you want within that channel? Are you looking to drive awareness? Are you looking for lead generation? Anything lead generation, I highly encourage experimenting with paid behind, because that's going to give you the best results the quickest. If it's just awareness and it's authority, you can get away with organic for now, just to give yourself some raw numbers. Just give yourself time. It's going to take 6 months. It's going to take a year before you start seeing repeatable results. Identify what the metrics are. What is it that's going to define success? Is it awareness? Is it conversions? Is it, listens on a podcast, views on a video, whatever those different metrics are, you want to have at least one metric you're looking at that's going to say, hey, I think this is working, or I'm moving a needle. You may not even know if that's the right metric, but just look at the channel and think, what data can I get from it? And what can I watch consistently on a month-by-month basis that's going to give me some information? And then put it through a filter of an audience fit. Are your best buyers there? Yes or no? Operational readiness. Can you deliver on this and measure this? And delivering on it may be, to Sean, you asked the question about an external partner. It's okay if it's not you delivering on it, and you think that there's an external partner that you need to rely on. That still falls into that yes or maybe even a maybe. And can you stand out? Can you make yourself different, or are you just going to contribute to the noise wherever that channel is? That's one really important filter to think about. When you line those things up and you look at 3 to 5 channels, the ones that you get the yes, where you're confident in your responses, those are the ones to probably put more of your effort into, whether it's more budget or more time and energy, because time and energy is just as expensive, especially when you're a founder. And that's something that people miss. I find by organizing it with that way, it sort of gives you a roadmap of, I'm going to start here. I'm going to focus on this for, let's say, 90 days. And then I might start scaling up that second channel the next 90 days. And then I might start scaling up that third channel the third quarter. And by the fourth quarter, I might look back on all 3 of those channels and say, hey, I might want to change my objective over here based on the data that I'm seeing. That's just low-hanging fruit as it relates to how you do the targeting. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And
Does that answer?
Sean, you asked a really good question at the onset of this worksheet. Where do you put the money? Is it in the content creation? Is it in the paid? And I loved, Katie, what you said about that. This last box over here is, can you stand out? If you're creating your own content, which we all know, we see it online, we all do it. It's sometimes way more engaging. It's just a matter of understanding who your competition is and who you're trying to stand out against and attract at the same time. And that's where you're going to know whether or not that kind of self-made content is going to land or not. So that can you stand out is going to be different probably on each one. Do you see the cat coming in the frame? Sorry. It was a really interesting question though, because you can absolutely self-create that content as long as you're making sure that that's the right place to be and the right kind of content for the audience you're attracting.
Yeah, I have found that struggle specifically on the AI side. And really what we're trying to do is sell, right? We have this AI assessment, which is a sort of product, and we have fractional AI advisory that we want to build in some, let's say 3 months of that is included in this assessment, right?
Mhm.
So we have to prove our value in that 3 months, but we have to sell this assessment, right? But with AI content, it is, I mean, it's everywhere for one. It's all nonsense, right? I mean, there's so much just like Chat GPT made up garbage, right? So the other thing is that a lot of what's attracted is AI solopreneurs, right? Like there's 10,000 of them every minute, right? And so it's like, but that's not who I'm trying to attract, right? I don't want other AI people. I want New England business owners in small businesses that are not AI businesses so that we can talk about how to bring AI in as a force multiplier in your business and help you do more with less, right? So there's a lot there. I know I just said a million things, but how do you go from here's this product I want to sell on down the road, and how do I get out of that AI
Great
cloud?
question.
Yeah.
Great question. You have to figure out 5 different audiences that want your 5 different audiences that are interested in that you believe are completely ownable and accessible to you. Because even what you're describing about New England small businesses is pretty broad. Look at where you've got authority, whether it's on the recruiting side, and maybe start there. And look at, small business recruiters who want to figure out how to use AI, and are equally concerned about the issues that come with AI, when it comes to recruiting and filtering and all those automations. I think that's a really controversial area of AI, in my opinion. So maybe that might be start small, go very, very specific about that, and look at where you've got the authority that any of those other AI consultants don't have.
Right. Well, I have partners and they have other authorities than I do.
Right.
I
So
have to be
same.
like in their world, right? They're both in healthcare. So if I was to say it would be small healthcare or medical device or clinical research, I mean, that's
Yep.
that and, HR teams, right? So, um, I, I think that's for us. I think in starting, it's really businesses from 5 to 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where, you're in that big ramp up. You don't yet have established teams necessarily in all the places that you need. I think that's where we can really change the game and help those businesses compete with bigger businesses.
So then I would start talking, maybe offering, to understand what keeps them up at night about implementing AI, and make sure that your messaging is, that content is addressing what the barriers are for them. Privacy is a huge thing with AI, and HIPAA regulations and all of that stuff would probably be the next part of it. So, what are the certifications and what are the expertise that you can help them get past those fears, and be that trusted advisor? that helpful?
Yes.
But
I need,
then,
I need more time.
as you look at like, those audiences, that's where paid can help because you can get really targeted on, hitting those healthcare professionals that match that profile. Because when you're putting out the organic, you're going to attract everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's what I'm thinking is that we need to go paid on LinkedIn and,
Mhm.
you know,
Probably.
get that sort of senior leadership in
Mhm.
smaller companies.
Yeah, I mean, try a 2-month experiment on LinkedIn, and see, what it does. Because you can always, the other mistake I see is people turn turn paid on and off, pulse it, because then you can get that real data of if the numbers dip.
Okay, that's a good idea.
All right. Any other questions? Good. All right. Well, I want to be mindful of time. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for this month's KSA Live Oh Shit Q&A. We do this the second Wednesday of every month at 11:30 Eastern. We will send a follow-up email with this grid so you guys can play around with it and tell your friends, and hopefully this gives you that one extra bit of clarity to help you go from oh shit to hell yeah.
Great, thank
Go
you.
forward and kick some
Awesome.
ass. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Love this worksheet.
Bye.
Thank you. Very cool.